The title of our project is NLP Learn the Language of the Subconscious Mind. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Neuro relating to the brain and linguistic relating to the language. The practice of NLP is essentially understanding and learning how the brain works, thinks, or its language, and how we can understand and communicate with it.
Our initial idea for this project was to find a way to influence people's thoughts and predict what they were thinking, almost like mind reading. If there is a way to figure out the psychology behind why and how our brain makes certain choices and decisions and influence it in other people. This led us to find the practice which was NLP. But shortly into our research, we realized that NLP wasn't about trying to trick the brain, but how to understand and communicate with it. When we started to look more into the therapeutic side of NLP, we realized that this is what we wanted to do with our project. And we reframed our project with the thought in mind of how can we use this practice to help people in everyday life.
The purpose of our experiment is to determine if using NLP as a routinely practice can help an individual improve their goal setting, management, and overall life skills.
We obtained our information from many websites and educational resources. As for our procedure, first we planned and created Google Docs templates for each entry, including all of the additional activities. We then made a Google Classroom where all our participants could join and see and fill out their individual entries. Next, we had to make a schedule of how the 10 days would look and planning out when each assignment would be posted to ensure the participants had enough time to complete each one. We decided that each day a daily entry would be posted, looking at the participants' goals for that day only. On days 1 and 10, an overall and final progress report would be posted, looking at their goals for the entire 10 days as a whole. On days 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, the well-formed outcome and reframing steps were posted, with days 1 and 10 being overall reports and reflection. Then the participants joined the class and we began our testing.
We found that using NLP as a routinely practice is an overall beneficial process. Participants completed an average of 2 goals out of the 3 goals that were assigned per day. By day 10, 88% of participants had completed all goals for the day. Over time, we found that the NLP strategies were adapted. As we took away the guidelines, the participants kept the positive language and the I will mentality.
People can use NLP to help them achieve personal goals and to change the way they live their lives for the better. What we have found in our experiment suggests that if you do it for a long enough period of time and are diligent about completing it, you can achieve your goals by practice. Psychologists and therapists already use NLP tactics on their clients during sessions to help them get through what is going on in their personal lives. Certain NLP tactics have been shown useful in getting over trauma, phobia, or PTSD. They can also give their clients a carefully crafted journal using NLP that is specific to their needs. In our project, we wanted to think beyond using NLP just for therapists, but as something anyone can do in their lives.
The most difficult part was that we had a slightly different vision in mind for our project. Initially, we were planning on doing 2 weeks of testing along with an in-person journal log. However, the transition to online school made this less likely. We were able to modify it, but naturally having the longer period of time for testing would have been more ideal. In our modified version, we were able to incorporate 3 different NLP tactics.
In the future, if we were to extend this project, we would expand the methods and practices we used in our testing. There are many tactics such as the VACOG model, internal maps, and other NLP tactics that are very important when talking about NLP that we were unable to work into our testing. If we could do more research on these individual NLP techniques and how to practice them thoroughly, we could make more tests and expand our project. NLP is a very wide branch of therapy and practices that if we had more time, we could research so much more. We would also make a longer or more in-depth experiment process. We were limited by time and circumstance, so if we had the opportunity to spend more time making a better testing process and had that time to execute it, we could have improved our project.
We use the scientific method in our project by first asking the question, can you improve your life using NLP? Then we researched NLP and how it can be used in everyday lives. Next, we made our hypothesis, which was if we create a journal using NLP, over time, we will become better at goal setting, management skills, and using NLP. Then we experimented on 8 different participants and analyzed our data into 11 different graphs. Finally, we reported our results to our classmates and now to you.
And finally, on days 1 and 10, the overall and final progress reports were posted. On the overall progress report, not much had to be done. They just made a goal of something they wanted to learn or do over the course of this 10-day experience and why they wanted to achieve this and steps they were going to make to achieve it. They also had to choose whether they wanted to participate in the well-formed outcome or the reframing steps. In the final progress report, they had to reflect on this goal and looking back on the 10 days and how they found it as an overall experience. Along with the daily entries, we also had 2 other additional activities using well-known NLP tactics, the reframing and well-formed outcome. The well-formed outcome reframing usually consisted of a paragraph explaining what the goal or objective for that day was, and a series of questions to reflect upon and to expand on our belief, thought, or achieve the outcome we wanted to achieve. We posted these every other day so that in the day between, they could use what they learned here and apply it to their everyday lives. So here are the templates for the day 2 for the reframing and the day 1 for the well-formed outcome. Here we're talking about what is this belief or habit. This was the first entry they actually had to fill something out for, and they were looking at why do I have a problem with this and just exploring that within themselves. For the well-formed outcome, it talks about what outcome do you want and exploring that and making that a definite thing in their minds.